Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn. We are at my borrow pit. I'm wearing a funny hat like this, not because of fashion or style, but function. It's rather hot, sun's out, so the sides keep, hopefully they keep my ear tips from being sunburnt. And probably more importantly are the deer flies, which are horrible this year. Right now out here in the field with some wind, it's not bad, they don't bother me, but in the woods, and deer flies always go for the topmost portion of a person's or animal's body. So what they do is they hover around top. If they get underneath my brim, I can feel it, shoo them away or catch them. But if I have a ball cap on, oftentimes they'll bite the back of my neck or my ears or something like that because I don't know that they're there. So this brim works really well for that. So I've got... I recorded this video over the course of several months, really just two instances. One at the beginning, which you'll see here, and then at the end when conditions allowed me to finish it up. So the borrow pit is much earlier in its development than more recent videos that you might have seen. My first load loaded up. We're going to do more with woods road improvement. We'll get into the woods and I'll show you what I'm doing here, or there. Here, since we were here last at this borrow pit, I cleaned it up a little bit. I dug just a little bit deeper right here to try to match the contour that I want. I also, you can see here between the green grass, which is what I first mowed, and the not so green grass, which is what I more recently mowed. You know, I'm basically going to try to slope it and contour it in all the way to the wood line, which probably 10 or 15 feet beyond that's the property line. And right there, hopefully you can see it on camera, is a little dip. So this little hump here that we're standing on where those rocks are, this is all going to come out eventually. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. It could be weeks, could be years to remove this material depending on how fast I use it. So that's a black cherry tree. I want to keep that. That's a red maple. That's too close to that anyhow, so I'm going to be up to grade by the time we get over there. But I'm thinking this ash tree may go. But we'll see. I still have a lot of stuff to get before we have to worry about that. So my plan is here not to show you a whole lot where we are now. I know from video analytics that you don't really like watching me load my trailer, and I don't blame you because I know that can get boring when I watch videos. You more tend to watch me unloading and spreading stuff out in the woods, so that's where it'll go. Well, you might have noticed this pretty blue rock here. I brought two dump truck loads in, so a total of about 38 tons, 28 cubic yards, something like that. One right here and the other one just beyond that birch tree. And that was, it worked out really well. You probably can't tell on camera, but this had sloped down quite a bit. Over there was a little bit of a dipsy doodle. So between these two loads, it made sort of for a very smooth, just gradual incline, because we go uphill all the way, rather than flat spots, steep incline, flat spots, which made it difficult. I think eventually when this packs down, my traction here on this, which is called 3-inch dense grade, it's basically 100% quarry material, crushed rock from 3 inches all the way down to rock dust. It packs really well. That I won't spin as much. I spun a little bit here, but I was in 4-wheel drive, so the front wheels are going to spin even on flat, level ground. But with this gravel here, which is just bank run gravel, it's screened, I was spinning quite a bit. So I may put some more here to cover the rest of this, but I thought that was a really good start. So I will show you the map again. So I'm working on the bigger part of this loop, Working our way upwards, you can see we're uphill. Sort of the top of this little hill is where another section of corduroy road is that I'm going to fill. But I need to get there. So the map of my woods roads, which you may have seen before, but right now we are right here. So sort of my target area where that last section that I'm going to deal with of corduroy road is sort of right around this corner, right in this area here. So this section of road here is rather impassable. It's very muddy. It has shallow bedrock. So basically the mud, the topsoil just sort of acts as grease between my tires and the bedrock. So I can't do much. So I'm going to have to allow me access between where we are now and the corduroy road to get there. And so in order to get there, I need to basically improve the road between here and there. And that's what I'm doing now. So you can see here has some ledge. The ledge in this area is really shallow. Where I hit it, it's a little bit slippery because there's sort of some grease, natural grease there that lubricates it. But luckily I was able to continue to climb here as this emptied out. The other thing you might have noticed was that plastic lining. Hopefully, I haven't seen the video yet, but from my vantage point in the tractor, it looked like it came out more smoothly than before. I didn't have to jerk it to sort of get it to fully come out. So the intent of that plastic lining is so stuff like this, which is not the worst of the stuff that I have, but it is a little bit sticky. We did get some rain recently, so it's wet. But for it to slide out easy. And I did a previous video of me installing that plastic and talking about it a little bit. So if you want to look at that. So from here, I'm just going to dump this. I'm going to do a big loop, which you'll see on the map. I'll come out right there and just head back and get more. And then I have my dozer tucked away over there. You can see that beyond the leaves, perhaps. So this is the big loop here that I'm referring to, which is basically drive around this entire area and then take this little shortcut road and then back to that same intersection, basically where we are now. I'll spread this out, pack it down, so hopefully when I come up here again, I can make it that much further without much problem and dump another load. Basically where I started dumping is where fabric and gravel ends. So from basically the intersection to where this pile starts is pretty solid ground because of the fabric. But up here is nothing. I don't plan to put fabric because the ledge is so shallow. I'm not worried about stuff mixing in to any great extent. And really, this is not a commonly used road anyhow. I just use it primarily in the winter, but I do want to have access if need be in the summertime or, in the wintertime if things aren't frozen. I still want to have a decent road to get up here. Well, that disappeared quickly. It's going to be slow progress if I can only do, this might be 20 feet, but I'm guessing there was maybe more of a hollow that I filled in than I realized up there. I hope it's just dips in the road and just sort of the ruts that I make when I drive through. You'll notice I did not continue on because I'm sort of spinning there. The tractor's a bit of an angle. It's just so slippery and muddy, even with an empty trailer. Probably alone I'd spin quite a bit and have a little bit of difficulty. I could probably make it up, but I think it's a fool's errand to try to continue to run through here over and over again There's more of that ledge, which is kind of slippery. Right there, you can see us slipping on the rocks. And the front end just sort of whoop went over that way. So I'll probably just back out. So I may end up doing that for a good part of this distance up there, just because it'll be easier to back up than it will be to go forward and uphill through this mud. Well, what little bit of sloppy topsoil there is here, it is going to mix in. Some of this seemed to pack down okay. Some of it I question whether I'm going to have much success trying to drive over here with a loaded trailer. I'll give it a shot. Worst I guess that can happen is I have to basically dump it in the same spot and then just push it uphill with a dozer. The only issue with that, like you see here, is you got a big pile. If I can't tailgate spread it, which is sort of out of the question here, it's going to spill off to the side of the road. That side, because it's sort of banked up, I'm sort of contained, but on this side, it can easily spill over. Well, I think it's at this point it's not worth continuing on. This will firm up. It may not be this year, but like that road over there, that little crossroad, I had similar issues with. It just, no matter what I did, it just was continuously soft. Thinking this may be the same way, but that did firm up after it went over a winter. So this may be the same. The thing is, it's a woods road, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm not going to spend a lot of money. What I might do after I back the tractor up, I may, before I put more material up, I may try to see if I can scrape some of that topsoil off, push it off to the right, which is sort of downhill, at least till you get to the crest. And I might have better luck with less topsoil being mixed in or sort of acting as a little lubricant down underneath. I can't remember now if it's 3 loads or 4, but basically each load by a dump trailer is about 5 yards, about 7 tons or so. So for every 3 loads is basically a triaxle load. So there's at least one triaxle load here, and it made just for a nice even it up enough, but it did not firm it up enough. So I'll just let it set here for, who knows, several days, weeks. I may test it out again, see if it's worth trying. The issue with that crossroad there is I was doing that very late in the fall. Here we are, mid-July. So this may firm up quicker with the warm temperatures and dry air. Well, if we get dry air right now, it's rather humid. So you can see too, to the left here, it dips off quite a bit. So probably the next load will just use between us and that white birch tree to sort of level it out, which is fine. I mean, that's what I want, because in the wintertime, or if it's slippery, you got an angled road and you have a tree, it's very likely you'll slide into it. Alright, so I'm not sure when we'll be back, but we'll be back at some point and have some conclusion. Back at the site of my problem area, right here. It has been, I would say, a month, maybe 5 weeks. Since I've been here, I think it's firmed up quite a bit. We've not had a lot of rain, but you can see it's damp. It doesn't really dry out here in the woods, regardless of what sort of drought conditions exist elsewhere. So I am hopeful that this will hold me up now, and I can make progress up here. After we last left, when I was sort of gave up on that until things settled down and firmed up, I did go through with the dozer and scraped off this very little bit of topsoil there is, on top of the ledge, bedrock, and there's not much. I'd say, well, I mean, it pokes through in some areas, and then other areas, who knows, it may be a foot deep, some crevices. So my goal is to continue working this way with some fill dirt to sort of fill in the dips and doodles, get out of relying on the topsoil for traction, and make it up that way. Just around the bend to the right is the other corduroy road that I put in last winter. So I am fully loaded, and we'll see if I can get through this area that caused me so many problems. Wow, that worked very well there. I'm actually a little surprised. I thought we were going to sink in a bit more. Up here went, I guess, as good as I could have expected. But normally what I do when I come in my next load, I would spread this out as needed with the bucket so I can drive over it. But since I know this is going to be a challenge and the dozer's right there and it's already warm because I had used it earlier today, I think I'll just spread this out before I get another load. Well, I haven't yet had this happen where it packed against the tailgate. And I don't have a shovel with me, but I think I have some tools or sticks or something, so I'll try to get this loosened up at least so I can take the chains off. I have a PV. The reason I like to tailgate it when I can instead of just dump it or spread it as much as I can. If I have a big pile, when I come along with the bulldozer and push it, it spills off to the sides. To some extent, that's okay. I want a little bit of shoulder, if you will. But it just makes it a lot easier if I'm, spreading something that's 30 feet long and just sort of evening it out. rather than taking one pile and trying to spread it that same 30 feet. See, even that pile there is not too bad. Particularly if I go over it a couple times with a dozer, skim off the top, push it forward, you know, take another bite of, you know, say 2 to 4 inches. And that won't spill off to the side too much. If I tried to do it all at once, it would, because right here it doesn't need to be that thick, except for a couple isolated ruts. But up there it's actually not too bad. Really, it's more just getting on top of the topsoil, which is greasy, than it is necessarily filling low spots. But it's holding up well, even the freshly dumped stuff. But this material is pretty dry. When we get some rain, this is going to be a sloppy mess until it sort of hardens and all the water and air voids in the material sort of squeeze themselves out. We are sort of at the top of this incline, or this section of road that has the steepest grade. It starts to level off here. It's still uphill, just not as much. So I was hoping I could tailgate it and then come through with the tractor and spread it out and not have to use the dozer each time I empty a load. But based on how this sank in on the right hand side, I'm not sure that's going to work. In fact, I took the chains off. I'm going to have to dump as much as I can out, I think, to get this out. I mean, it's relatively firm up here. I didn't spin too much because I thought I'd save the traction for when the body's dumped. But the corduroy road is almost within eye shot up there. We don't have much more to go. So close. The issue now is I've dug myself a hole spinning the tires, so I don't have much traction, because the trailer itself is really not that mired. So hopefully with just a little bit of a push with the dozer, we'll get it out easily enough. This is becoming a little bit of a pain. I would keep pushing, except that the tractor keeps going off to the left and I don't have a driver. Well, at least for now, that fill dirt I'm bringing in is just going to mix in with that. It's just still going to be a soupy mess. But I think from here back, it may be okay. So really, I just have a small section, basically from the end of the trailer to here. It's about 20 feet or so. I can just bridge that, then I think I'll be home free, because we'll start with the corduroy rows, and there's a little break between two of the sections, but boy, I'm so close. I'm surprised that this flat area has given me so many problems. And I had after we got by that first section that I had to take a break from, that the hill section went pretty well. Well, let's see how far I can get this time. I'm going to try to favor the far side. Over there might be more solid ground, and put my left tire sort of in the middle, at least sort of undisturbed soil. It might give me a free pass once. A bit easier. It's funny because like right here it all of a sudden just turns firm. I don't understand it. Something with the ground, maybe ledge, underground springs, who knows. Well, this has become a little taxing, so it's close to the end of the day, so I'm going to call it the end of the day. But actually relatively happy overall that I was able to come up this far. You can see the corduroy road is right there, actually on this side of the trailer, the first little section, and there's a much bigger one in front of the tractor. But I noticed this here, which is a little low spot. You can see it's a bit soft, so the next one I bring in, I'll probably dump right here and not try to go up there quite yet. A little soft here as well, but some of this is like the one down there, which is, you can see, is really held up well. It's just going to need time to firm up, so I'm not going to deal with all of these soft spots. Just the ones that I think will get me in trouble, and this one here, which is just sort of a dip in the road anyhow, which I want to level out. Well, I thought I could make it this last little bit. The front wheels are actually on the first section of corduroy, but I have this little bit of a mud spot just before it. The tongue is touching the ground. So, I guess I'll have to push myself out yet again. one corduroy road, or one corduroy section covered. Boy, this last load in the borrow pit, I noticed a big difference with the rocks. It's a bit more gravelly. And another section of corduroy road up here. This will be the last section, so once I cover this, basically get to the other side, then this objective will be complete. So this one did squish in a little bit. I had mentioned early in the spring I was disappointed how these sections of corduroy roads didn't sort of squish into the mud like I thought they would. Granted, I have these sort of runners or rails underneath, and I'm guessing they must be hitting on something hard to keep these poles. But there's a little bit of mud that squished up through it, but not enough to keep them from rotting if I didn't cover them with anything else. All right, before I spread this out, I wanted to point out something that you can probably see. In the borrow pit, I suddenly ran into this gravelly, almost sandy material with just a lot of rocks in it. You can see there the sort of the tan, the brown color, and then this sort of a darker, I don't know what you want to call it, brown, tan maybe. But this is heavy clay, and that doesn't seem to have much clay at all in it. Thankfully, I'm sort of at the end of my borrow pit, so I'm done with that, because I'm not sure how well that's going to pack. And I'm going to use some more of this stuff. But it's weird. It's just almost sandy. I've never seen that on my property before. And look at all the rocks. Just littered with rocks. Alright, so this will cover this the road up, but particularly where the dozer is now, that small section of corduroy, as well as in here. I'm going to put a couple more loads on just to lift it up so I have a good covering over these. Particularly since I'm not sure how that fill material is going to pack down. Rather have something a bit more solid on top of it, like that clay. Boy, what a difference that makes. So, like a lot of roads, some areas here is going to take a little bit of time for it to firm up. But for the most part, it's passable. Looks good. I'm happy. Should be in excellent shape for the winter. So this is basically half of this sort of loop. Basically starts there, comes around here, out that way, and then meets right back there again. So sometimes when I dumped loads, I backed out, and the further I got up here, it made more sense just to sort of go around. So the other half of this loop still needs some work, but this was the worst part of it. I'm glad to have that done. See here, you can see here it's sunk in a little bit. Give it some time, let it firm up. I'll probably fill those ruts back in again, and then maybe they'll firm up more level. All right, well, before we end it, do a quick review of the borrow pit, which, because this video has basically been 6 weeks in the making, has changed quite a bit since the beginning of this video. So let's go visit the borrow pit, and then we'll wrap it up. So I think when we started this video, only this sort of strip here, and I'm not even sure it was completed. You'll notice the pretty blue rock. Used that on a couple previous videos. I may have use of that in that other section of the loop, but I'm still pondering that one. So I don't know, I don't think I talked about it here. But these flags represent a potential spot for a pole barn. Still waiting for the consultation, review, comment period, dissertation of the wife as far as location of a pole barn. So for now, it's just going to remain a proposal. So the pink ribbons here represent the front of the pole barn. The white ribbons represent sort of the back of it, enclosed on 3 sides. One end of it, I'll enclose it on all 4 sides. And use it for lumber storage. So I've used a lot of material here, mostly for woods roads in previous videos. Obviously you saw a fair amount here. As far as what I'm cutting in, that further white ribbon right there is sort of the level I'm shooting for. So where we're standing here is about the same elevation as that white. So we got to take out a couple feet here. I took out 3, maybe 3.5 feet over here just because of the lay of the land. So this is all nice clay. I finished up right here, stole a little bit here from this edge. But this is where I ran into that weird, well, weird for me, weird for my property as far as what I've observed, gravel, sandy stuff. And you can tell it's just a different color, a lot of rocks compared to that there is clay. Well, now it's dry clay, dust. A lot of this pile of rocks came from this tiny area here. I didn't excavate this level just so it could sort of match in with the existing grade until this location is finalized. Then I'll worry about the surrounding grade for aesthetics and drainage. So some of these rocks are fairly large, like that one. So I do have this material to remove, regardless of pole barn or not. I'm going to remove most of this material because this was sort of the hump, I think, that I referred to at the beginning of the video that's going to be taken out. And I still have a fair amount of material that can be used elsewhere in the woods. I think the limiting factor for me is going to be time and perhaps weather, though for now it's been so dry. It's been nice working in the woods, but I'm sure that'll come to an end at some point. So for now, that'll wrap it up. That's another significant piece that's been on my mind for many years, and I'm glad that's done. So thanks for tagging along with me on that. I hope you stay tuned for future videos. I appreciate it, and thank you.